back to that talk that you guys are going to have in 2 weeks about the husband and the wife. She wrote it in, and then she made me do it, right? And then they have the 2 boys, and then they pass it on to their boys, right? And then eventually the whole world gets infected. You got the Tower of Babel, and then you got the stories of the flood, right? At the very beginning, folks, we're trying to answer a basic human question, and the answer is going to be, don't blame God. We ended up doing this. So the next part of this is, I pick the people. I pick that people. Those are very good people. It's not going to be easy. And another insight that they give us is sometimes bad things happen that we look at in the short term, and we don't look long term like God does. They land up in Egypt. They're slaves. Sounds bad, doesn't it? And they stay in slavery for hundreds of years until somebody comes along and says, I've been chosen by God to lead you people out. Moses. Perfect guy. Remember, this is the guy who beat somebody to death? God does not choose perfect people. If I'm perfect, then who needs God, right? But if you take a guy, beat him to death, and make him a Moses, people would say, oh, what a God. What a powerful God. We believe it. Well, for 40 years, they have been trying to figure out what is it like to be God's people. They've been going for 400 years. They have no idea how it is to be Hebrew, right? 40 years, a long time. They're forming themselves. Here's an image. I saw lots of cute little families here, right? So families are saying, the girls are saying, put this dress on when you go to church on Sunday, and all these little girls were dressed exactly as Mommy and Daddy told them how to. All right, that's the period here. When they hit high school, it's probably harder for Mommy and Daddy, and they go to college to tell them how to dress and turn up that deal. What happens when they enter into the land? I want to be like everybody else. I want to dress like everybody else. I want houses like everybody else. I want armies. I want kings. They're already starting on the road to Babylon, right? All right, you want a king? We'll give you a king. I'll tell you ahead of time what's going to happen if people aren't listening. Anybody who's ever raised somebody through middle school, high school, into college, I'll tell you what's going to happen. I want you to bite your tongue when I told them that's what's going to happen, right? God says, I know this stuff is going to happen. Let them have what they want. And when they stop listening to the kings, who does God send? People who tell you stuff you don't want to hear. Prophets. And when you don't even listen to God's prophets, what happens? Babylon. And only when you go through those rough times do you get a little gray. A little gray. Nice. Am I right? Wisdom only comes. Yeah. Oh, don't you start nodding your head. Wisdom, you know. Right? That's it. This is trying to answer a question. Now, this is not put together by the Jews until about 200 years after Jesus died. There is no one book at the time of Jesus. Whenever he's mentioning the scriptures, he's mentioning different books. But there is no one Bible like we have. Okay? So how do you express this? Remember, God's going to come at a level that we can understand. So, let me see if I can use this example. It's a newspaper, right? Headlines, opinion page, Dear Abby, all that stuff. When I pick this up, my brain has already been trained. Look at different writing styles, and right away, you know that's supposed to be just a fact, right? This is a very good way of communicating weather around the country. So use this writing style for weather around the country. As soon as you get here, do you already know? That's just a letter to the editor. That's just what that one person, right? All right. This is sad. I told you I'm from Chicago. See if anybody can interpret why I'm so sad. It says Chicago, W69, L76, PCT, 0.76, GB, 16.5. Anybody know what GB, 16.5 means?
Games behind.
Socks.
Game's behind.
Now, if you know how to interpret this, you will know what I'm saying. If you don't know how to interpret their 16.5 games back, you know what's even worse? The Cubs on the north side. I'm not even going to put your hand down over there. I'm not even going to tell you what the Cubs one is. Dear Amy, as soon as I say dear Amy, right? Do you know how to interpret the truth from here? All right. You can't say it. You can. Right? If I was to say, I got a letter that said, Dear John. Is everybody my age or you know what a letter is? Okay. Dear John. As soon as you hear Dear John, the guy who's getting this letter know what the truth is that's going to be in there. All right. Midlife crisis, I'm thinking of buying a motorcycle. There's lots of stuff in here that I would say, I have no idea what some of this, either that or a basketball. Maybe I'll get a basketball. All right? 09 Yamaha FZ6R. If you know about motorcycles, you would know that. All right? And here's the book of Revelation. Right? Right? Really? How many people know what all these numbers mean? And when they put together the Bible, the book that they had spent most theological blood over was the book of Revelation. All right. So we are looking at a book that was 1,000 years in writing. If I ever find it back, I don't have to sit here, don't tell. Or Al, if I was to read his 6-year-old diary, right? Girls had cookies at 6 years old. Parents said you must let the girls in the neighborhood into your treehouse, right? We don't want you to. All right. At 16, the diary of 16. Do girls have cookies?
Go on.
Are you willing to let the girl into your treehouse?
Absolutely.
So, it's not that in the diary you have different, at that time in your life, girls do not have cooties be nice. At this time, don't you dare take a girl into your treehouse, right? So when you have a collection that is this long, at times there might be, wait, doesn't that contradict? I thought this, that, and I'll give you an example, all right? When he was little and he was praying for his food, anybody else know the tick-tock for food? Tick-tock, tick-tock. No? All right. How about as I lay me down to sleep? You got that one? All right. So, 6-year-old, as I lay me down to sleep, I pray to the Lord. That's right. How did he pray for his food when he was a little kid? Anybody know a little kid prayer for food? God is great. God is good. Well, the three of us went out to Charleston's last night. I was a bit embarrassed. When all of a sudden they bring the food and he's, God is great. God is good. I felt like, theologically, grow up, Al. It was a very appropriate prayer for a 6-year-old kid to say, right? So there's 1,000 years. We also used to see God is like Santa Claus. All right? So if you say, this is what I want, God, and then like Santa Claus. And so one of his faith crises is, as he was growing older, he said, God, I want this, and he didn't get it. Well, if he thought God is like a little kid in Santa Claus, then that's going to be a crisis, right? First Genesis. And God said, let there be light. Okay? Right next to that, where's God? God's walking in the garden, they're talking in the garden, and where's my Adam, and where's my mother of all living? And so, where do you find God if you're a second Genesis type person? In everyday life. And God's walking and talking with them. All right? Here's that. I'm going to talk for a minute and then break and let you guys talk. If you have two understandings of God, at times, is it possible that they are correct? But you've got a complete understanding of God. He walks in Sunday. He's first Genesis. Okay? What does he do? He walks in, he genuflects down, he is on his knees, his hands are pointed to where the transcendent God is, and in awe and mystery. Right? And once you know it, poor Al, he always seems to get the Genesis 2 people walking in and sitting in the pew right behind him. Where did the Genesis 2 people find God? In their neighbors. In the, how are you doing, how's your kids,